I like this setup.
Yeah, this is nice.
It's a nice little setup. Little NBA Jam in the background right here. A little RetroPie setup. Rico, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome to Founder Chat 41. Peach is barking in the background. She's a little lonely. We're gonna have to release her soon. Did you get the iOS 18 beta?
No, did you?
No, I'm not gonna screw my phone up.
Didn't you do that before?
I did do that before, and I regretted it.
Yeah,
man. Totally messed me up.
Yeah,
I forget which beta I did.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Dude.
I turned that crap off
just to move your icons around.
No.
I mean,
no, it's like I heard a Spaces yesterday, like immediately following WWDC, and they said, "Wow, Apple! Aside from the AI announcement, they were like, you've become Google. Like, congratulations! You can customize your home screen.
Yeah, you can move your icons around.
You can move them around, change their color.
Yeah.
And then I saw someone post the dog, with the 2 rows, like showing the dog's face. Like, no one asked for this.
No, dude, that was Android 2015.
Yeah. But the big announcement, I mean, obviously, was the AI, right?
Yeah.
Apple Intelligence. And so I think while there's a lot of good strides made, you can make the argument and nitpick what you want, but there was a lot that was announced all at once.
Yeah.
And for me, it's cool because we're power users. I think, we're in the ecosystem here.
Yeah.
It's a big stride, and this is the beginning. This is the worst it's ever going to be, right? It's like we say in AI in it for everything, right?
That's right.
This is the worst it's going to be.
That's right. And I do appreciate sort of their approach in a way, because they're not trying to take on OpenAI and have this like know-it-all chatbot that can do work. It's really saying, hey, we're going to integrate it into the background of these apps, and it's just going to sort of be a layer of functionality. What always bugs me though is Apple is always in this sort of weird place where they keep all they really have are these like widgets for applications. Like, they didn't show you Pages or Numbers or Keynote with any AI. It was like Notes, Calculator,
your calendar,
Messages. These are just widgets to me. Like, no one's doing work on Notes, but now it can translate in multiple languages.
It can transcode, or what is it? What's the word for it? When it listens, it can.
It can. Well, like, what do you call it? Text to speech or something?
Yeah,
speech to text.
You can turn it on during a meeting and transcode, right?
Yeah, something like that. Transcribe.
Transcribe. My bad.
Yes.
And then turn it into text.
Yeah,
but you'd have to like sit there, turn notes on.
Yeah, but
do it.
I don't know. I'm like, they're in some bubble over there that says that people are actually, and they know they have the data, so maybe they know something I don't. But I don't know anyone who uses the Mac OS built-in applications. Like, the first thing I do when I get a Mac set up is I go to the dock and I go, nope.
Yeah.
And I just get rid of all of it, because it's just not. These aren't even. I don't understand. Apple sort of lost to me in terms of like who their real market is. Like, they, for a while, and this was back when Steve Jobs was doing it, he created iLife, right? And it was like, okay, here we go. This is great. This is like bringing creative tools to everybody, right? You could do iMovie, iPhoto, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just stopped. Like, I don't see any like new advances. There's no new software. They have some Pro Tools stuff. They have Pro Tools. They have Final Cut. They have, I don't even think they have Aperture anymore. I think they have something else. So it's just this weird place where you're like, I don't know who they're building applications for. And to think that AI is going to make a big difference because it's integrated with Notes, I feel like it's a little I mean, I'm sure that's a great place. It's a safe place for them to be. And they were nice enough to say, okay, here's like 5 APIs that you can use that can bring some of this functionality into third-party apps, which is, I guess, good. But it's a lot of copy stuff too. Like even what was interesting, even the APIs, one of them was an image builder, right? And did you notice it doesn't do photographic? Did you notice that?
I did notice. Yeah.
It only does
everything was like
styles,
illustrative. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like you can't do anything that looks photorealistic. That was on purpose. The text modification stuff, that's essentially Grammarly, writer.com, all those tools.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't innovative entirely. I mean, granted, now you can use it basically for free.
Yeah.
And so they're just sort of like, I think there's, and the other thing that I'll hand it back to you after this, but one of the things that really did sort of chat me, and Apple is notorious for this, is they will take things that other people have done and just co-op them and say, okay, that's ours now. One of the things was, one of my favorite extensions I've ever had was this tool called Magnet. Do you use it? Do you use Magnet?
Yeah, it tile your windows, right?
Yeah. Makes it so easy to keep things organized, especially with 2 displays. I don't know if you saw that. They were like, and now you can just take a window and snap it to this or that size and this stuff. I guarantee you they didn't acquire Magnet, but they essentially just put them out of business, right? And so there's this thing where I'm just like, there's almost like this intellectual dishonesty that irks me a little bit, because they're not really telling us what the truth is. It's sort of this truthiness of, it's AI, but not really. It's these applications, but they're just widgets. It's, we've made this innovative thing for the desktop, but it's really just a copy of something that's been around for 10 years. So there's sort of this weird thing where I'm just like, Apple's got enough money where they can just be honest and nobody's going to care. And I wish they would just be a little more frank with their discussion. I mean, Google did sort of the same thing on their presentation, but at least they were reaching further, right? Like some of Google's announcements were crazy, and they were just like, it'll come out sometime, whereas Apple didn't really promise anything outrageous. They were just sort of like, we're delivering this stuff and that's it. And there's nothing wacky in the future that you should even look at.
I want to know why, if there was an emphasis on the Vision OS and now there's Apple Intelligence, well, and the Vision OS has the ability to see, right, using cameras to see and capture out.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they bring AR or some type of AI into the Vision Pro?
Yeah.
That, you could be walking around and it's detecting things that it's seen.
Yeah.
Right. That seemed like a little bit of a miss.
Totally.
I mean, it's the hardware's there, right? And so why not do something, superimpose things like, things that we've seen in other formats, even with your phone, right? You can superimpose things.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a miss to me. Seems like they just got through that Vision OS update of, here's an improvement and let's move on.
Right.
Really didn't think about the AI component to that. And I feel like that's a huge miss. I mean, what other reason are you giving folks to go and pay $3,500?
It's just
for these things,
device.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, on top of that too, hey, what's up, Hank? I think one of the things too about that Vision OS thing is they're having issues because the adoption is so low. They're having issues getting third-party developers to even invest in these games. And so you'll have Facebook had the same problem early with Oculus in the beginning. There just weren't enough of them out there.
Yeah.
And so you have to, as Apple has to do, they have to pay developers to develop for the platform. And so I think there are a handful of things coming out, but at that price point, this is the other thing, like the best application I think that Apple can do for this stuff is to sort of make it a sort of pseudo work, especially at that price. Like that's the only reason you can justify it. Like it's not, unless you're just into entertainment that way, but at that point you could buy an Oculus and be just as happy. I think it's going to be the work thing. So I'm just curious. Like, I think Apple needs to decide. Like, it's so nebulous who their target is. They got so into like making sexy things with the iPhone, which is super consumer. That they've sort of, I don't know. It feels like, to me, it feels like they're kind of wandering. And AI is so. I think it has such potential to add value.
Yeah.
That it really puts the attention back on the software of these devices and not the hardware. And I think that's where Apple has sort of lost its way a little bit. They're not so much a software company as they are a hardware company that happens to make software.
Sure. And
not even software, operating systems.
Yeah.
They're like Windows.
Mm-hmm.
They're like Microsoft. And so, but Microsoft has a lane. They know where their lanes are.
Mm-hmm.
But Apple, I don't know if they really have they've sort of meandered a bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, just this whole idea of iCloud. I don't know. Anytime I see sign into iCloud, I'm always like, I don't know. It's just doesn't feel
right
natural to me still.
Right.
And this idea of even the password, keychain, and all that, I don't like it.
No,
I prefer having that stuff, kind of in the third party, secure place, And then there's all these memes, right? About Apple killing, 1Pass or whatever these password, companies that are out there, because they're building it in to their OS now, into their ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I trust giving them that much.
Yeah,
I've used the keychain a little bit here and there,
mm-hmm.
Just for convenience now especially with my MacBook, right? Because I just fingerprint to get my password for certain things. But really, I feel more comfortable using like Dashlane, which is what we use at the agency, right?
Yeah.
And I use Dashlane on my phone. It works everywhere.
Yeah.
And I feel good about where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
With the keychain and the iCloud, I feel weird about it.
Yeah.
Not sure. Which to Elon's point,
going to eat,
he does not like the idea of them using ChatGPT and saying that it's secure. He's making the case that it's not secure, and he's going as far as to say that if you have an iPhone in one of his companies, he's going to ban.
Yeah,
he's basically going to ban the iPhone.
Well, I think it's
unless he's trolling OpenAI a little bit.
Well, I think there's a bit of that. I think if you really look at what's motivating him, it's not necessarily the threat of that. I think he's a bit bitter just about what happened with OpenAI and that he's no longer running it.
Or as he calls it, closed AI.
Closed AI. I mean, the guy is just really, he just has I think there's a lot of FOMO that he's got, because normally he's like the guy at the front end of these things. Right?
Can I let her free?
Yeah, please. Yeah, she's just going nuts. But Elon's normally at the front end of things, right? He's normally doing stuff with SpaceX or breaking new ground, and in this case, oh, here she comes. Oh man, there we go. Yes, sweetheart. Yes.
There it is.
There we go. Sorry about
the barking stopped.
There we go. What did you want to say? What did you want to tell people? What did you want to say?
Redondo Peach on Instagram.
There we go. Come here. Come. Relax.
But he went as far as to say, if you're visiting one of my buildings,
you
have an iPhone, he's gonna lock it up.
Yes, in a Faraday box, so it won't even have signal. I mean, come on, it's just so extreme. And I get what he's saying, and I think he's trying to do that to sort of like, but I mean, as if Apple's gonna sit there and go, okay, well, Elon's threatening, his this, then we might want to change our direction. I don't see that happening.
Right.
It is a little. It's premature and a little immature.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it just keeps
things
exciting.
Let's be honest though. The fact that Siri is going to ask you first.
Yes.
Do you want to use? Do you want ChatGPT to give you the answer?
This,
right.
Means
that they could hot swap ChatGPT with something else or their own
That's exactly
their own
it.
AI
Yeah.
that's probably not ready,
It's not.
right?
And I think that's and we were talking about that, like when the iPhone first came out, there were no Apple Maps,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all Google.
Right.
And so they had to deal with Google until Apple developed their own map platform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the same thing here. Like basically they got so.
But
they
do you
got
know
just
anyone
so
who
far.
uses Apple Maps?
No, that's the thing.
I don't.
I don't
I
either. I don't either. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I even get frustrated when I open something on here and it's like it defaults to Apple
Yeah.
Maps. I'm like, I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know anyone that uses Safari?
No. No. I don't, any of this stuff. Dude, I uninstall.
Do you know anyone
all
that
of it.
uses Mail?
No. No. Maybe I think my mom.
Oh, Rico, you're killing me, bro.
Oh,
Ah.
yeah, that's right. I remember seeing Rico use it.
Apple Maps.
Yeah. Dude.
Man,
It's all I mean,
I thought Rico was more of a Waze guy. Waze.
Yeah. You know what I want to know?
Wait.
I want to know how Apple gets work done. Like I want to see what's happening in their office. Like what are they using? Because you can't tell me that if you're working at Apple, like everyone's working through like iMessage or like
No way.
or using
You know they use Slack up in there.
you know they gotta use I mean like how do they do that? Do they like secretly use Google Apps and stuff like that? Like how does that work?
I don't know.
No, none of this. Come on.
No, yeah. I don't know, man.
So
It's so weird.
it's so weird.
But yeah, I don't know anyone.
I'm
Calendar,
curious.
like
Yeah, like everything's in their
your-
iCal.
no. I don't know anyone that uses.
No. But
I
don't
mean,
know
what
how
was
they
the
get
first
work
thing
done.
we do? Even you mentioned your desktop. The first thing I do, right? What's the first thing you do when you get a new phone? Is you install the Google apps.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's to the point where like the first and only time I use Safari
Yeah.
is to download Chrome.
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
used to be that it would be like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did you know Safari could do this and this and this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember? And so
Don't care.
no, next.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Safari? Safari's great. You're like, get out of
That's
here.
good.
Desperate.
Do you use Safari? Yes, to download Chrome.
Yes, to download Chrome. And that's it.
awesome. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'll be honest though. I do like. I don't like the extra click on Siri for ChatGPT, but I do like that it would be accessible
Yes.
right at the button.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll have to see how it integrates with the your paid account, because it did say if you have a paid account, which we do,
Mhm.
is it how it's going to log those
Yeah.
those sessions, or like how good is that going to keep track of that stuff? Because the other thing too is it when I do the voice thing, it clutters. It creates so many sessions.
Yeah.
Was that what they're called?
I think so, yeah.
That if I'm looking for something from a previous
Yeah, it's not great.
prompt, then it's hard to find it, especially when I'm like, man, I asked it like 20 things.
Right. And
over
it
the
doesn't
past
really
couple of
remember,
days.
does it? Like, can
No.
it be like, oh, you said something 5 prompts ago and then, or not
I don't think so.
5 sessions ago. Yeah. There's
don't
an issue
think
with
so.
continuity there.
Right. Because we use it for business,
Yeah.
but then I feel like for me at least, I use it personally on my phone
Oh, yeah.
all the time just to ask it random stuff. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. There's also they announced the Gen emoji.
Yes.
Genmoji.
Genmoji.
Yeah. I'm like, man, you're $1 trillion. You're worth $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And this is what you're gonna give me.
There you go. Yes. And
You
I
know.
can do kitties and
I can do cats
There you
and
go.
AI cats. I don't know, man.
yeah. I just don't. I mean, I get it, but I'm like, there is a cringiness to it. Where I'm
Yeah.
like, this is, you have now. It's like we've stumbled upon the internet, and like we just came up with some dumb widgets for it. You
Mhm.
know, like I don't fully understand.
Yeah, I don't get it. But the future, I guess, it's going to be interesting. The future is bright.
Absolutely.
I don't know. We'll have to see who cracks AGI, but it's not going to be Apple. I don't even know if that's even something they're thinking about or care about.
No.
I think they're really just care about keeping people in their ecosystem buying these products.
Right.
And so in my opinion, they can't really be AI first in that sense. It's just going to be kind of something that they're just going to have to do as part of, being relevant. Because otherwise you're just going to be relying on third-party apps forever. And it may be that way, just like we're using the Google example. Just may be that we use other third-party apps forever on these devices.
Well, and it may be, if you're letting in, if Apple doesn't come in and sort of try to create their own AI and sort of way of approaching it, it sort of shows you a weakness that if you sort of draw that line out, you could see a situation where iPhones and whatnot, Apple devices become just basically hardware, where your operating system is the AI. At a certain point, there's going to be a tipping point where people are using AI more than the apps they're using.
Yeah.
That day is going to happen where you're going to be like, look, why am I going to open that and do that thing? I'm just going to ask it to do the thing and not even open the app. Right. So at a certain point, like the pressure is going to be on to like this operating system stuff isn't going to matter. And I think that's what it is. It bugs me about this notes and widget stuff is that it's so inconsequential to really what's possible on these things that they just sort of, it's almost like, yeah, there's AI and there's a lot of cool things you can do, but look what you can do in notes with it. It sort of downplays the potential of AI. Like they're acting and they're right for calling it Apple AI because it's sort of like, it's like AI Junior.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's something about it that it just sort of, it treats it almost like, yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, but it's not really the future. And we're not thinking of that. We're just going to go on like, it's just going to be another little add-on thing, So I don't know. I think it's going to be much more disruptive to their business than they think, or at least they're acting.
Yeah.
Google at least is scared out of their mind, right? Because they know it's going to change their business. But Apple should be just as scared because they really don't even have a software outside of their operating system. They don't really have a software that's a must-have. Even if, I was thinking about this too. I used to have an Android, and every good app that's out there is on Android and on iOS. There's very few things that are only iOS. And if they don't, then it's just a matter of time until it comes out. So
there you have it, folks.
That's it.
WWDC24.
A rant.
There's a million videos on YouTube about it. All I care about is that whatever update is coming to the phone, that I don't need a new phone. That's all I'll say. If my damn 13 doesn't work, I'm going to be pissed.
You need an iPhone 16.
iPhone 16.
To run
right.
OpenAI. Better not.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.